You're listening to Crochet Business Chat with psychotherapist, artist, and designer turned business coach, the Crochetpreneur, Pam Grice. Well, hello there, Crochet CEOs. Welcome to Crochet Business Chat. I am Pam Grice, here to help you turn yarn into money with therapy for your crochet business. I am so glad you're here. Let's go now and check in with our next guest. All right, awesome. We're here with our next guest, Courtney. So, Courtney, can you tell us a little bit about your business and what you do? And then let me know how I can help you today.
Yes, so I'm Courtney of Creations by Courtney. I create size-inclusive crochet garments for women and children and accessories that are practical and stylish.
Nice.
So I have a huge question. It's a question I ask all the time because I feel like the answer shifts based on where I am in that year. But my question is, how do I determine and implement the tasks that are most beneficial for my business while also working full-time?
Yeah, with 3 kids.
Yes. Yeah, that's the part I left out about me.
So you are working full-time, you have 3 kids, and you're designing, and you want to figure out how to figure out first what's the most important things to be working on.
Yes.
So the hard part is that there's so many pieces of our business.
So many.
I mean, so the first thing I want to tell you is the first thing you need to work on is hiring an assistant.
Okay.
Just because you can offload so much to somebody else to do your marketing, or at least your scheduling of your social media post, to help write your blog posts, to format your patterns, to get them listed in all of the places. Those are things that you don't have to be doing.
That sounds
Because,
dreamy.
yeah, there's just so many things when you're a crochet designer, things to get done. You have to make the designs, write the patterns, create the PDFs, take the photographs, edit the photographs, create videos if you're doing that, do all the marketing,
Yes.
get the things out there, get them on Etsy, get them on your website, write a blog post. It's a lot of stuff. And
Yes.
the hard part is that it's all important. So
Yes, I keep trying to drop things and they keep coming back.
yeah, you can streamline things, but like you can't drop the photography, you can't drop the marketing, you can't drop the designing, you can't
Right.
there's just nothing to drop, but there are things that you can outsource.
Okay.
So what I would suggest is to figure out, write down in a day or in a week everything that you do in your business. And I know it's a lot. And then next to that, write things that I have to do.
Okay.
Things that I want to do, because there are things you could offload, but you really love them. So let's not make you, do things, take things off your task list that you enjoy. And then look at the rest of the things. And those are going to be things you don't enjoy and things somebody else can do.
Okay.
And then your job becomes writing down your processes, getting systems in place, making their job easy for them, and then finding and vetting the person that you work well with.
Yes, that part. I guess that would be like the next big question, because I did attempt to work with a VA last year. We get along great, but life happens, her life changed, and so we couldn't work together. I looked at other options, asked people for recommendations, looked at it, and I was like, I don't know if I really want to make that commitment, because it is an investment. I know that, but I'm always trying to watch the numbers to make sure that like I'm not overspending in my expenses. I don't fully do profit first with my crochet business. I do with my other business. Yeah, it's hard. Like
It is hard. And so I'll tell you, so I've had a really great experience with she started out as a virtual assistant, became my assistant. Now she's my integrator, meaning she's my like second half of my brain.
nice.
And it seems counterintuitive, but she doesn't even know how to crochet. She is not a crocheter. She does not know the crochet world, but she's eager to learn. And she is a virtual assistant first.
Okay.
That's her business. She's a professional business person who
Mm-hmm.
runs a virtual assistant agency now at this point because she's got so many things on her plate that she has people working for her.
Wow.
But looking for that professionalism of someone who has bought into their position as virtual assistant. They're not just doing it for fun. They're not just doing it on the
Mm-hmm.
side. It is who they are and what they want to
Okay.
do. Because I think you run into trouble if you hire this is not always the case, so I don't want to sound like I'm dissing people. But if you hire someone who is in the crochet world, they might get
Mm-hmm.
distracted with their own business or with,
Mm-hmm.
and when you hire someone who you're training them how to do it, you're training them what you need in your business, and their job is to do it, and they're bought into that, I think is really great. And for me, it's been really, really positive.
Okay. Because I
I keep
really thought it would have
hearing,
been more helpful to have someone who knows a
mhm.
bit about what I'm doing.
I think if you can find someone who knows how to crochet, but also is bought into being a professional virtual assistant, that's your
Okay.
win-win. So
Okay.
look in your community of crocheters
Okay.
and say, is anybody in this community a virtual assistant? Not your designer and your virtual assistant on the side, but you're a virtual assistant first.
Gotcha.
And just check. And that's just a suggestion. I can't guarantee anything, but I have had really good success.
Okay.
My other two assistants, so my primary assistant was not in the crochet world. My other two assistants that I have were in my Crochet Business Chat Facebook group.
Okay.
And so I just put out a call, say, we're hiring, please apply. And they are in the crochet world, but they're not designers, they're not product sellers, they're crocheters. And so they understand the crochet world, but they're not in the crochet world. And so I can
Okay.
teach them what needs to be done.
Yes.
And they don't have any bad habits from their own way of doing it, which is nice.
That is nice.
So that's just a suggestion to get some things off your plate. Another idea is to look at everything you're doing
Mm-hmm.
and analyzing the data and saying what is working and what's actually wasting my time. Like,
Yes.
say I spend 30 minutes a day making an Instagram reel. Is that generating traffic and getting people over to my website, or is it
Mm-hmm.
just being shown to people who could care less about actually buying from me?
Right.
Check that out and decide what's worth my time, what's not worth my time. Always creating content as far as like your actual content that's going to attract your customers, which is
Mm-hmm.
crochet patterns,
Yes.
blog posts. That's going to be important.
Yes.
Yeah, so analyzing what's working and then don't do things that don't work or offload
Yes.
things that aren't working as well because you want a
Yes.
good return on your investment.
Yes.
And your biggest investment at this point is going to be time. So,
Always.
yeah.
It's always that.
So go through with a fine-tooth comb, and I know this takes time, so,
It does.
you're not gonna get it done real quickly. But,
No.
and what was the second part? Oh, implementing.
Yes.
Dun, dun, dun.
That's
That's
always the hurdles. Like I come up with a plan. I'm like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. And I fall off at some point. And it's such a process to get back on track.
mhm. Um, so for me, and I don't know if you're the same way, so I am a squirrel chaser constantly all day long. And like you start something and you're like, oh, I have to remember to go do this thing, or I have to go remember to do that thing. And you do that thing and you never get back to the original thing.
Yes.
So for me, using Asana, having a digital planner has been really helpful because I just throw all of my tasks in there. Like if I have
Mhm.
a squirrel thought, like, oh, I need to do this thing, I just set it up as a new task
Okay.
and I put it on the same day that I have the idea. But at the end of the day, if it's not done yet, I move it and I plan to
Okay.
get it done. In that way, I don't say, oh, I better do that now before I forget. And then I
Yeah.
forget what I'm actually supposed to be doing. So writing it down, creating new tasks and keeping it on Asana, you could do the same thing with Trello or
Mhm.
whatever project management software you use, that's been super helpful for me because they just live there. They just sit there until they're completed. They're there in front of your face. And I just
Yeah.
keep that tab open at all times. And I check like my tasks every day to see what am I supposed to be doing today? And then, usually there's more things on the task list than I can actually get done.
Always.
So I give myself permission to not finish all of the things, but I do prioritize them and say, okay, this is what I have to work on first and get that thing
Okay.
completed before I go on to the next thing. So for me, that's been really helpful. Other people like paper planners, other people like Post-it notes. I've tried to stop with the Post-it notes and I just consider my Asana tasks my Post-it notes because otherwise I
Okay.
end up with a Post-it notes all over the place and I never look at them. So
Right. Right. Yeah. I have so many Post-it notes when I'm working and then I forget them or they somehow move. So I've recently started trying Asana last year and I like how I organize it with collaboration. So I can put it in all the to-dos with due dates, the links for like the blog hops and stuff. That has been really helpful. But I think I need to maybe make separate, I never get the term right. Is it boards?
So there's projects and
Okay.
there's boards or
Within the
sections,
projects.
and then there's tasks.
Okay. So maybe I need new projects to separate stuff because it's all in like one
Oh, yeah.
project.
So because I have multiple businesses, right? So I have like the podcast that I'm doing with Terry. I have a section for that. So I just put brackets and then BBB, that's our podcast, and then calendar. I have a calendar for each of my businesses and then different projects underneath each business. So then I have BBB podcast and it has all of our episodes and our whole process for doing the episodes. And then I have CP for Crochetpreneur and I have Crochetpreneur, Crochet Business Summit. I have another one for Crochetpreneur Business Academy. I have another one for, all of the different parts of that business. And then the next business, I have all the different parts of that. And the different parts have different projects. And, as you bring on a team, if you decide to do that, you can bring them into Asana and assign tasks to them through that. And they'll get their little task list. They can check them off. You can see where everybody's at. And the more organized you are for yourself, the easier it'll be to bring somebody in and you have all of your steps right there. And so you can train them really easily. I was not good at that. So it's been a process.
Good to know that because that's at least something that in trying to crochet along for this year, because I was like, oh, I'll do it in the fall. Asked my audience and they said no, the beginning of the year. And then the holiday came. My kids running and playing for 2.5 weeks while still working. I was like, oh, it's January. Oops. So kind of putting it all together as quickly as I have, still doing things along the way. Asana was super helpful. I'm like, okay, what are all the things I need to do to make this actually work? And I'm like, oh, is this what I've been missing?
That's
all
so
these
great.
years?
Yeah, because you could just create a project for how to run a blog hop and have the process of, collect all the names and then how do you do that? Or, collect all the contributors and then creating all the swipe files and the graphics and all of that. And then moving over to your blog posts and then posting, you can hold all of the patterns and the photos and all of that all in one place and just get them into your blog posts and all of that.
Yet, because I have folders organized on my computer, but I didn't think about that if I do work with someone, how they get access to that outside of Google Drive.
Well, you could this is what I've started doing for our podcast is I create a form in a workflow in Asana and I just send them the form link. They fill out the form and it creates a new task under my podcast with a card and they add their photo, they add their address, they add all of their links and everything. And then I just take that card and move it from step to step along and I get to see their photo the whole time. So I know like, oh, this is so-and-so's podcast. I'll see it for you. I'll see your podcast as we go along. It just makes it so easy. So
that sounds amazing.
So maybe I should plan how I use Asana, just a day of hanging out with the the Academy members, and just
Yes, that would be amazing because Asana is so much more than I thought it was. And again, like you said, time is the biggest commodity, and trying to figure out how to maximize my time has been my journey really the past 3 years,
yeah,
because like you said, I have 3 young kids
hmm
and they keep me busy.
for sure.
Like tomorrow, my whole afternoon is dedicated to them and their activities. I
Uh-huh.
just realized in writing things out, I was like, wow, that's it for 4 hours of my day
hmm Now bring
committed
your
to
work
just,
with you if you're like going to a soccer
oh,
game or whatever
oh,
you're doing.
absolutely. Every Thursday, I'm at the gym with a crochet project and my
hmm
iPad, typing, stitching, typing,
Yeah.
stitching. Um, but yeah, that would be super awesome to kind of see that workflow, because
hmm
sometimes I get stuck with how to organize. Like I know
hmm
the steps, but like how to organize it so I can actually follow it and not forget something. Like you
Yeah.
said, the squirrel.
hmm
I literally was doing something last week. I clicked to another tab because I needed to get something from that tab and completely forgot what I was originally doing in like 10 seconds. I was
hmm
like, ah, luckily it came back, because
Good.
if not, I was just going to walk away.
Yeah. I know that's so hard. And because there's so many things, you're not just like, "Hi, I'm Courtney." Like in your day job, you get to be like, "Hi, I'm Courtney, the psychologist. Let's sit down and
Hmm.
talk." And that's
Yes.
your job. And you don't
Yes.
have to do a lot of marketing, I'm guessing, for that
No.
business. Uh,
Mm-mm.
so it's totally different for a normal business owner. They get to just
Right.
show up and do their thing, but we have to do all of the bits. So
Yes.
I hope that helps a little bit to help you get organized. I will plan something where we can just all sit together for a couple of hours and go
Hmm.
through how I use Asana, and maybe you can
Yes.
get some ideas from that.
Yes, that would be amazing. And I will kind of take the time to definitely sit with this idea of a VA, because I feel like that's like the next big step in a business.
hmm
And sometimes I feel like my business hasn't grown enough to do that. But then I'm like, no, Courtney, don't do that. I therapize myself,
hmm And
and I'm just
sometimes you
like,
need to think of your business hasn't grown because you don't have the time to invest. And if you would invest first, then you have the time to do what you need to do, and then someone else.
exactly.
And you have to be wise with your money and all of that. But sometimes you have to take that step in order to grow as big as you want to be.
Yes, and that's always the tug of war, is like, okay, because it's there, like the money to put into a VA is technically there, but I'm so cautious because I was
Yeah.
like, well, wait, what if there's this thing or that thing?
hmm
Um, but I think this is really the time, because I really want to work on that this year, because crochet is so easy to consume me. It's really easy. It's 11 o'clock at night. I finally sit still long enough to now pick up my yarn, and then I'm
hmm
going to bed late and everything. And it's just me and my lamp just working away my
Yeah.
craft room. Everybody else is asleep. It is peaceful. It is calming for me because everybody else is finally asleep.
hmm
But it's not good that I'm up late at night, and I will totally be in the zone. Sometimes it's like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. That's
So
danger. That's a
it
danger.
is. And I tell my clients all the time, I'm like, work on your sleep, prioritize,
hmm
get your rest. I'm like, yeah, I'm telling that to myself too.
I know. Well, I can totally relate to that because I do the same thing. I'm like, do what I say, not what I do. I
Yes,
I know what's best for you. No.
exactly.
All right. Well, hopefully that helps. Why don't you let our listeners know how they can find you if they want to follow you? If they heard you talk about your niche and they're like, "Oh, that's me. I love that." So, how can they find you online?
Yes, I am Creations by Courtney everywhere. So my website is creationsbycourtney.com, on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, Creations by Courtney LLC. The
Okay.
LLC may not be on TikTok. I think I managed to get my name in early enough. But I'm Creations by Courtney on Pinterest as well. If you want to look at my patterns and pin those to save for later, I'm on Ravelry and Etsy. Creations by Courtney W on Etsy though.
Okay.
But all of my shops are also linked on my website. And if you
Perfect.
really like me, you want to hang out because I love talking to everyone, especially about yarn and crochet, maybe you want to join my newsletter or check out my tutorials on YouTube.
Perfect. Do that. And I will put all of those links in the show notes so people can find them really easily. And Courtney, I'm so glad that you came today. It's so good to see you. It's been a
Yes,
while. And
I
so I'm happy to
know.
see your face.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I hope you have a great rest of your week. Thanks for asking your
Thanks.
question. I think a lot of people will relate to it. So I'm glad we got that answered.
Oh, you're so welcome, and thank you for your time.
All right. Take care. Bye. That's it for today. Be sure to get your printable handmade business binder when you go to crochetpreneur.com/binder. And never miss an episode when you subscribe to Crochet Business Chat on your favorite podcast listening platform. All guests on the podcast are students of the Crochetpreneur Business Academy. If you'd like to learn more about this biz boosting program specifically for crochet business owners, go to crochetbusinessacademy.com. And I want to thank you so much for spending time with me today. It means so much that you'd hang out in the studio, and I can't wait to do it again next time. Until then, I'm cheering you on.